Singapore is ramping up the use of contact tracing technology in the fight to contain COVID-19. This comes as the country prepares to ease restrictions, such as the resumption of activities for seniors. TraceTogether tokens, which detect who's been in close contact, will be distributed to residents island-wide. And the tokens are an alternative to the app. The distribution starts on Monday, and residents in Jalan Besar and Tanjung Pagar will get them first. The authorities aim to complete the distribution by November. Now, the government will also deploy Safe Entry, a check-in system that requires the use of either the TraceTogether app or token at selected venues. This has been trialled at business conferences and exhibitions in August, and more pilots will begin this month. Starting tomorrow, 2 new monitoring services will also be introduced. First, a self-check service where people can check if they have visited venues at the same time as those infected. A separate SMS service will also alert people if they've done so based on their Safe Entry records. The changes have been announced at tonight's multi-ministry task force briefing. And Cheryl joins us for more on this. Cheryl, so why is technology and data playing a bigger role now in Singapore's fight against COVID-19?
Yes, that's right, Glenda. So it's simply because Singapore continues to open up in phase 2 as community cases are under control. We had just 5 community cases in the past 2 weeks alone. So the fact that they are under control is really due to the efficiency of contact tracing. And this allows authorities to isolate cases and their close contacts and break that train of transmission early. So the idea of marrying the Safe Entry and the TraceTogether technologies is really to allow authorities to supplement Safe Entry with the proximity data from TraceTogether, and that will basically enhance safety for all participants in these higher risk activities such as large-scale business events. The task force also announced that, like what you said, senior activities will be allowed in groups of 5. So these are all the steps they are taking to reopen Singapore. More dorm workers are also going back to work as the dorms are cleared. And authorities are also looking into allowing more workers to go back to work at their place of work or at their office, but employers are encouraged to adopt flexible work arrangements so as not to clog up the public transport during peak hours. So for all this to happen safely, this is where Safe Entry and TraceTogether play a key part in keeping track of the data and allowing authorities to have a clear oversight of where and when the infections are happening and possibly the source.
We are now in a phase where we're beginning to open up, for instance, for conferences and other business-related events. And for these sort of events where you're going to have more people interacting, it's not enough to just know who has been in this building, say, in the last hour. You actually want to know, of that group of people who happen to be in the building, who actually has been in close proximity to each other. In order to have that level of granularity, you do need proximity data. So what we will do is that in October, we will conduct a trial where you will do Safe Entry on the basis of a TraceTogether program, either using your app or using the token. And we will roll this out in a way that is seamless and convenient so that actually you might find that it's less onerous and it's transparent to you.
So Cheryl, we're starting to sort of see this in a sort of expansion for larger events, but there are some areas where the authorities are actually clamping down. So can you tell us more about that?
Yes, that's right, Dawn. So food and beverage outlets in particular, authorities are keeping a very close eye on them. And this is simply because they've said that they've been given enough time to comply with all these safe distancing measures. So no more warnings will be given, especially since a lot of breaches, or a number of breaches, have been observed at certain F&B establishments. And some of the breaches include customers not being seated 1 meter apart, or they have gatherings in groups of more than 5, or there is intermingling of different groups of 5 people, especially in perhaps what they do is they book a private room. So enforcement action and checks will be stepped up at all these F&B outlets, and they won't have any chance anymore. They will possibly be fined or ordered to close at the first instance of being checked. And especially if multiple breaches are found during their enforcement, they may even be forced to close down the outlet.
So we really seek everyone's cooperation. We understand that there is some fatigue with these measures, but it is very important that we all continue to keep our guards up, comply with the existing measures, and we need everyone to cooperate in that regard. And if we are able to do well with existing measures, keep the infection numbers low, then we can start thinking about the next steps of easing existing measures, move towards a new phase of easing, as well as more opening up of activities. So let's all do our part during this period. We are doing well so far, but we should continue to work hard, stay vigilant, and work together.
Another area that authorities are looking at is tighter border controls, and this time is specifically for travelers with a recent history to India, and especially if they're not Singapore citizens or PRs, they will be required to take a COVID-19 test before they are departing to Singapore due to the resurgence of infections in India, and also because Singapore has observed a significant number of imported cases with a recent travel history to India. So this takes effect on next week, the 17th of September, and is on top of existing requirements that such travelers arriving from India serve a 14-day stay-home notice at dedicated facilities. It's back to you in the studio.
Cheryl, thank you very much for that update. That was Cheryl Go there with the latest on the situation here in Singapore.